This is lessons 11.7 and 11.8 that I have combined into one lesson. Today we will study how to calculate the circumference and area of circles. Let me first give you a few definitions. Circumference. The circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. Circumference is referring to the distance around the circle. So if I were to draw a circle and we were to calculate its circumference, it would be the distance around the circle. I'm measuring how far it is around the circle. Okay, we will also be studying how to find the area of a circle. Now, the area of a circle describes the space inside the circle. So we will be calculating how much space is contained inside the circle when we calculate the area of the circle. Okay? So again, circumference describes the distance around the circle, whereas area describes the space inside a circle. Now it's important for you to remember that area is always expressed in units squared. So whatever the unit is, whether it's inches or yards or centimeters, we will always describe area in units squared. Okay, let's go on. Okay, a few things you need to know, a few vocabulary words as far as a circle is concerned. Okay, the first word that I want you to look at is the word diameter. Diameter describes the distance from one point on the circle through the center all the way to another point on the circle. That would be the diameter of a circle, the distance all the way across a circle going through that center point. That center point right there. Okay. We also have the radius of a circle. The radius is the distance from the center to one point. So if you think about it, the diameter is 2 times the radius. And I can write that this way. D equals 2 times R. Diameter equals 2 times the radius. I can also say that the radius is the diameter divided by 2. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Here are your formulas. Given a circle, to find circumference, capital C, circumference equals 2 times pi times r. Another way you can find it is using C, circumference equals 2 times the diameter. Now please note that for pi you will use 3.14 on your calculators. R always represents the radius and D represents diameter. Okay, now the formula for area of a circle is area equals pi r squared. Pi r squared. So once again, your circumference formula, we have 2 of them. If in your book, as we do exercises, you're given the radius, you'll use the first one. If you're given diameter, you'll use the second one. And here's your formula for area. Make sure you have those down. Okay, let's practice. Okay, for the following problems, we will find the circumference as well as the area for each circle. Please make sure you have a calculator, as we'll be using calculator to find circumference and area. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is copy down the figure. It's a circle, and we are given the radius of 4 feet, so we can label that as R. Okay, so look at the directions again. We are finding circumference as well as area. So there will be 2 answers for each of these. Okay, let's start with this one. The first thing you will do is write down the formula for circumference. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Let's go ahead and substitute the information that we know. Circumference equals 2 times 3.14 times 4. Go ahead and with your calculator multiply 2 times 3.14 times 4, and we will be rounding all of these to the 10th place. So circumference equals, your calculator should read 225.12, but we'll call it 225.1 feet. That is the circumference of this circle. Okay? Now to find the area, we write down the formula. Area equals pi r squared. And again, we'll substitute 3.14 times 4 squared. Now we must follow order of operations here. So we're first going to square the 4. So area equals 3.14 times 16. Please use your calculator to determine what the area is and round it to the 10th place. And I have 50.2. That would be the area. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. 50.2 feet squared. Don't forget the units. Okay? All right, let's go on to number 2. Look at number 2 for a moment. Copy down the figure. And let's label the information given. In number 2, did they give us the radius of this circle? No, they did not. They actually gave us the diameter of this circle. The diameter is 9 kilometers from one point through the center to the other point across the circle. That distance is the diameter of the circle. We will need the radius of this circle in order to find the area. So let's go ahead and take that diameter and divide it by 2 so that we have our radius, which we will need. Okay? All right, so circumference equals, in this case, because we're given diameter, I can go ahead and use this formula, pi times d. Circumference equals 3.14 times 9. And let's go ahead and figure out what that is. 3.14 times 9, rounded to the tenths, would be 28.3 kilometers. Notice that circumference is not in units squared. Circumference is in linear units because circumference is simply the distance around the figure. It's not considering 2 dimensions. It's a one-dimensional measure. Okay, let's go ahead and find the area of this circle. Area equals pi r squared. Okay, let's go ahead and substitute. Pi is 3.14 and the radius we've already determined is 4.5, and we need to square that. So let's go ahead and square 4.5 first, because we follow order of operations. And when we do this, we're not going to round to the 10th place until the very end, okay? So bring down pi, 3.14, And 4.5 squared is 20.25. And now we can multiply that times pi and round to the tenths place. So area equals 63.6, and don't forget, kilometers squared. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Number 3 and number 4 you're going to do on your own. So pause the video now. Go ahead and figure out circumference and area for both number 3 and number 4, and then come back and check your work. Pause the video. Okay, check your work. For number 3, the circumference is 25.1 miles when rounded to the nearest tenth, and the area is 50.2 miles squared when rounded to the nearest tenths. For number 4, circumference is 37.7 centimeters, and the area is 113 centimeters squared. Okay, let's move along. Let's look at number 5. On number 5, I don't have a figure, but I have the circumference of a circle, and I want to find the area of a circle. So, area equals pi r squared. What do I need to find the area of the circle? What I need to find is what the radius is of this circle. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my formula for circumference. Circumference equals 2 pi r. And I'm going to go ahead and substitute what I know. I know that my circumference is 62.8, so I'll write that here, equals 2 times 3.14 times r for radius. Okay, let me go ahead and simplify here. 62.8 is equal to 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 times r. And in order to solve for r, we're going to divide both sides by 6.28, and I get 10 equals r. So my radius is 10 yards. Well, now that I know my radius, I can definitely find my area. So let's write down the formula again. Area equals pi r squared, and pi is 3.14 times 10 squared, so that's 3.14 times 100. Which is 314 yards squared. Okay, so what you need to do when you're given either area or circumference, and you need to find the other one, either area or circumference, what you need to do is use both formulas to find what you need. Okay, number 6, I want you to try on your own. This time you're given the area, and I'm asking you to find circumference. Pause the video now. Okay, so I first use the area formula here. And I substitute what I know. What do I know? I know that the area is 78.5, and that equals 3.14 times r squared. I want to solve for r, so the first step is to divide both sides by pi. And I get 25 equals r squared. To get r alone, I ratify both sides. And then I know that 5 equals r. Once I know that the radius is 5, then I can use my circumference formula next to find the circumference. Okay. Okay, there will be parts in this lesson where you will be asked to find the sector a shaded area of the circle. So copy down this formula and this figure. Here's a circle, and it's as if a wedge of the circle is shaded. And I wrote down that that wedge, it's called a sector. It's shaded in orange, and it's the what they will give you is a central angle, and I've marked it at n degrees. So to find the area of a sector, here's your formula. Area equals n divided by 360 out of the 360 degrees of the entire circle. Okay, so n over 360 times pi r squared. And that's how you'd find the area of the sector. Okay, let's practice. Number 9. Copy this down. Oh no, I'm sorry, not number 9. Here we go. Actually, number 7. There we go. We're going to do number 7. So, we have a sector that's shaded in yellow, and the central angle is 36 degrees, and the radius is 7, and I think this is supposed to be inches, 7 inches. So let's go ahead and write down the formula. The area of the sector equals n over 360 times pi r squared. Okay, let's go ahead and plug everything in that we already know. So area equals 36 over 360 times 3.14 times r squared, which would be 7 squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and divide 36 by 360, and hopefully you can see that that's 0.1 times, now let's go ahead and do what's in the parentheses. Before we multiply, we must find 7 squared, which is 49. So it's 3.14 times 49. Let's go ahead and multiply that. 49 times pi. Okay, so we have 0.1 times 153.86. Now let's do our final multiplication and round to the 10th place. So we have on the calculator, you should have 15.386. When we round it, it should be 15.4. And because it's the area of the sector, we are definitely in units squared. Okay. All right, let's try number 8 together. Number 8. Okay. Area of the shaded sector. We see that the radius is 9 meters, and we also see that the central angle is 110 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down the formula, plug it in, and then calculate. So area equals n over 360 times pi r squared. Okay, here we go. Area equals 110 over 360 times 3.14 times 9 squared. Okay? 110 divided by 360, of course, is a decimal. We'll go ahead and round it. So we have 0.31. We'll round it to the hundredths there. Or actually, you know, I think I'm gonna have you do this instead. Instead of rounding there, we're gonna leave that 110 over 360 times 3.14 times 81. Let's go ahead and finish what's inside the parentheses. 3.14 times 81. and we're going to multiply like this, times 254.34. So in your calculator, I want you to put in 110 divided by 360 equals, and you'll have 0.30 and a string of 5s. Leave it just like that in your calculator, and then multiply times 254.34. And in your calculator, you should have this number, 77.715. We're going to round it to the nearest tenths, 77.7, and we're in meters squared. Okay, so let's go ahead, because we don't want too many rounding issues. Let's all do it the same way. Okay, we're not going to do the division of n over 360 till the very last step. Okay, number 9. Number 9, on your own. Pause the video, please. Okay, please check your work. The area of the shaded sector is 440.1 feet squared. Okay. I believe I have one more. Yes. Here you go. Try this one on your own again. Pause the video. Okay. In this problem, although you're not given the degrees of the angle measure, you really are, because notice that you're told this is a right angle. So you know that the central angle is 90 degrees. Okay, that would be n. So the shaded area here is 19.6 yards squared. Okay, one more quick problem. I just want to do one like this with you. Okay, so I hadn't planned it, but we're going to do number 11 together. Okay, all right, so draw this figure with me, please. We're going to find the perimeter of this figure. Okay, so we have here let me mark some measurements for you. Okay. So this is 15 centimeters. And this is 10 centimeters. And what we want to find is the perimeter, or the distance around the figure. So what you would need to do for this problem is as follows. You need to divide this figure into two parts. You first have a semicircle, which I'll shade for you. I'll shade for you in this light blue. Okay, and what we want to find is the circumference of that semicircle. Wait, I think I'd rather do this. The circumference here, and then we need to find the distance here and here, and that would give us the entire perimeter of this figure. So let's work with the semicircle first. Okay, so we have a semicircle. The circumference of a full circle, we know the formula is pi times diameter, but we're finding the area of a half a circle, so we've got to then divide that by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure that out. Circumference equals 3.14 times the diameter of the circle is 10 divided by 2. Let's go ahead and use our calculators to figure that out. So we have 15.7 centimeters is the distance here. 15.7 centimeters. It won't let me draw the M. Okay, there we go. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to find what I've highlighted in green. All we know is that the height of this triangle is 15 centimeters. How would we find the distance of the sides of that triangle? Well, what I'd like to do is let me redraw this figure, the triangle part, and I'll draw it here like this. Okay, we know that this here is 10, and we have this information that this is 15. Well, if you look carefully and if you look, I guess, and you remember back, you will find that this triangle can be seen as two right triangles, okay, where the legs of the triangle are 15 and 10, and we can find the hypotenuse using, as you know, Pythagorean Theorem. So let's use that. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. That's how we're going to find the distance from here to here. Okay, so a squared would be 15 squared plus b squared is 10 squared is equal to c squared. So 225 plus 100 is equal to c squared. So we know that 325 is equal to c squared. Let's ratify 325. And we have 18 equals c. So we know that this is 18 centimeters and this is 18 centimeters. So in order to find the perimeter of the entire figure, what we'd have to do is add the circumference of the semicircle, which is 15.7, and we need to add 18 and the other 18. And when we do that, our total perimeter is 51.7 centimeters. Okay, all right. This is the end of your lesson and your practice problems. You will have homework tonight on area and circumference, so go ahead and work on that. God bless you and have a great rest of the day.